What's up, Genny boys? Today we are continuing our tip series with 6 killer tips for beginners. Here at the Genny Boys, not only do we want you to reach your slip master potential, but also not prevent others from reaching theirs. These tips will go over more fundamentals rather than talking with their abilities and powers in mind, so you'll be able to apply these to any killer you want to play. And lastly, I know playing killer can be very overwhelming and stressful for newer players, so stick around to the end and try implementing these things into your game today. So let's get right into it. Tip number 1. Manage your time wisely. Let's break this shit down for a second. A generator takes 80 seconds to pow when done by a solo survivor. They only need to repair 5 of them. So that puts you a little over 6.5 minutes to hook 4 survivors 3 times each. Now, I'm not trying to scare the shit out of any new killers out there, but you need to know the importance of time. The following tips will teach you what you can do to prolong the game and buy as much time as possible. This tip will teach you how to not waste your time. Let's start at the beginning of the game. You spawn in and check the Gennies closest to you. Stop. Survivors will not spawn right on top of you. Start heading towards the opposite end of the map instead. The first 2 or 3 minutes of the game are some of the most important moments. It is crucial to secure a down or apply pressure as quickly as possible. So don't overcommit on that first chase, or any chase for that matter. I know it's hard, but sometimes when you're getting bodied, it's best to move on. It's pointless to chase the first survivor you see for 3 minutes around a jungle gym or strong loop. You'll most likely lose 2 gens in the process. Even if you get a hit and leave them, that's not the end of the world, because they'll be easier to down next time you find them, or they will stop doing gens to heal. If at any point you feel like you're doing something pointless or wasting time, it's probably because you are. As you get into lower ranks, you'll have to start combating meta or crutch perks as well. So one quick tip I can give is be patient on your swings when you're dealing with an injured survivor. There's a 75% chance that motherfucker has dead hard. If you miss a swing because of dead hard and they make it to another loop because of it, it can be one of the worst feelings as a killer. That little mistake can cost you big time. So be patient with your swings and wait for potential dead hards. And if someone does get you with one, log that shit in the back of your brain and don't let it happen again. Tip number 2. Map control. Map control is an extremely important part of the game, especially if you're playing as a killer that lacks mobility or the ability to traverse the map quickly. So here's how you do this. Find the area of the map, usually in the center, that is cluttered with the most Gennies. Somewhere that would be an easy patrol route to cover. Lock those motherfucking puppies down. Smart survivors will know that these are the most important Gennies on the map and will go for them. You need to be where the action is. A Genny getting powed off in the far corner of the map is not the end of the world. As long as you maintain control of this area with, let's say, 3 or 4 Gennies, you'll be putting a lot of pressure on the survivor team. They will either know what you're doing and stop working on outer gens and rush for the center, or they will stupidly do the outside gens anyway and then 3 gen trap themselves. Controlling the map will help you keep tabs on the other survivors, or in other words, kind of predict what they are doing or where they are. Let's run a little scenario. Let's say you walk up to a center Genny with 2 survivors on it. You secure the first down near that Genny with the other survivor still visible and near. You leave the first guy on the ground and go down the second. By that point, you can stop and think that probably one person is going to go for the first down guy at that moment, and the last survivor is still probably working on gens. If you're controlling a 3 or 4 gen area, you can also probably tell that that last survivor is not working on one of the gens in your area, which we can then predict he is working on an outer Genny. So you can then make the play to go find the third survivor going for the heal on the down guy. Catch him, and then you force the last guy out of the outer gen and to come to the center where everyone else is. Just situations like that is how you can control your area of the map. And for one last quick point, if it's getting into the later part of the game with multiple Gennies powed, do not chase a survivor that is holding W into a Genny-less zone. You will fall right into their trap as they're trying to lead you away from the rest of the action. Learning map layouts and survivor tendencies just comes with practice, so keep these things in the back of your mind while you are playing. Tip number 3. Pressure. Pressure basically means the amount of stress you're putting on the survivor team or how much you're taking away their ability to do the main objective. I wanted to quickly touch on this because I see so often killers not taking advantage of what could be easy pressure for them. Sometimes hooking a down survivor is not always the correct play. Think back to the example I just gave during the map control part. If you see numerous survivors, spread the fucking love. Setting your sights on one survivor, downing them, and hooking them is not always the right thing to do, especially as you make it down into lower ranks. Even if you down a survivor, quickly chase another and just get one hit. That decision just bought you so much more time. Now, I'm not saying to try and slug all 4 survivors every game or face camp or anything, But sometimes you gotta get down and dirty for those 4Ks, and don't let those entitled survivors tell you different, damn it. Tip number 4, finishing chases. So far I've told you the importance of time and not wasting it, controlling the important areas of the map, and keeping the pressure on the survivors. But none of that matters if you can't get any hooks, right? Let's talk about how to finish these fucking chases. Most of the time you won't catch a survivor with their hands in their pants in a dead zone because they watch my 6 survivor tips to instantly improve video. So it won't be as easy as holding W and then left click. What happens when you get to a loop? Wasting your time is truly about the only survivor's defense against you. So what they want to do is find them a good looking pallet with walls or obstacles around both sides and run around them as many times as possible and throw the pallet down. If you find yourself in a pretty safe loop, I would advise to do anything possible to entice the survivor to throw it down, then kick the pallet once it's dropped so it won't bite you in the ass later. The survivor will then be forced to move on to the next one and it probably won't be as safe. It turns into a mind game at this point. So try and pay attention to the survivor you're going against. Their playstyle, their skill level, and judge off of that. Moonwalks, fakes, misdirections, whatever you have to do to catch them off guard. Unsafe loops are usually pretty easy to mind game and a lot of times gets the survivor in this hilarious panic vault where they just shit themselves as they vault it over and over to each side. But anyway, I don't really worry about breaking these ones mid-chase, just hit them with the fake, down them, and get them to that hook. Tip number 5, be aware of your surroundings. Put on them turtle beaches and listen. It's crazy the amount of times you'll pick up a little noise and it'll be valuable information. Obviously injured survivors will moan like they're about to climax, but I mean more subtle things. Footsteps, survivors entering lockers, Genny's being worked on, things like that. I see a lot of killers chasing a guy near Genny that me and the boys are on and they run by just completely clueless. I know they can hear it deep down inside, they're just not trained to listen to it. They could just cut off that chase and head straight to the Genny, break the survivors up, and possibly get it down from that as the survivors were expecting the killer to continue the other chase. Also very, very important, especially as you get to lower ranks, but check out what everyone is bringing into the game. It's critical to know who's bringing in what items. I want you to do this so you don't act all surprised when you pick up a survivor in the open and the fucking flashlight musketeers run in and yoink them off your back. When you pick survivors up, face the wall. If that's not possible, do a little fake like you're picking them up and watch the musketeers flock. Easy tip number 3 pressure right there. If you don't see anybody, do a little spin right before you pick them up so you're facing the opposite direction and the musketeers aren't in the right position to get the flashlight saved. Same rules apply to when you down someone in a pallet. That's the worst feeling of them all and you don't want to experience that. And lastly, tip number 6, find the right build. Now I know if you're just getting into killer you won't have a whole lot of perk options and builds could be a whole nother video, but I wanted to give some quick tips and pointers. Do your research, get practice, and find what perks highlight yours and your killer's abilities. For example, on Myers, Monitor and Abuse and Infectious Fright is a deadly ass combination. 1, because Monitor will lower his terror radius when not in a chase, and then 2, increases terror radius when in a chase, which then kicks it off to Infectious Fright, where a survivor will scream revealing their position if inside the killer's terror radius when a different survivor is downed, which leads to a tier 3 Michael Myers potentially snowballing the game or at least applying immense pressure. We're looking for perk synergy here. Now if you are truly fresh into killer, 2 great perks that are not teachable perks are Sloppy Butcher and Whispers. Sloppy Butcher will be your game slowdown perk, as it will take survivors an extra 20% longer to heal. And Whispers is your survivor tracking or information perk, as it will light up when you're within 32 meters of a survivor, which is basically a terror radius length. Then whatever killer you choose to play usually has one good or great perk you can slap on and then another decent one, unless you play Wraith. But let me know if you want me to dive further into this in a future video. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, Genny Boys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out the video description for links to mine and Tangelo's Twitch, our Discord, and my Survivors Tips video if you missed it. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and Genny Boy out.